Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. How are you guys? It's Saturday. I have been busy cleaning my house today. If anyone else feels me on cleaning, raise your hands. Yay! Oh, and my hands definitely feel like I've been cleaning. I need like lotion for days. Okay. So I was doing my cleaning and I got a message from one of my subscribers, and it was a story on the Hollywood gossip. And I was reading through it and I was like, well, this is worthy of telling you guys about something. So it's all about Derick Dillard and Jim Bob Duggar. So you guys know that about a month ago I interviewed Derick back in March, actually more than a month ago. Back in March I interviewed Derick Dillard and we talked about some of the issues that had related with the family. Mostly that like they weren't paid, Jim Bob was hoarding money, and that he and Jill didn't really have a lot of choices in terms of like how they wanted to live their lives because everything had to go through TLC or through Jim Bob, and that um, it was common for, the family to want to control pretty much everything, and they weren't in line with what Jill and Derick wanted for their lives. So they ultimately left, and I had other people assure me connected to the family that they also the kids are corroborated Derick's statements that the children were not paid. And so this has been sort of this big kind of elephant in the room. But then teasing it along the way is that Derick has been on Twitter talking about how he wants to write a book. So Derick is in law school and he is in his second year. No, yeah, second year. So he's almost done with his second year. He's got one more year left. And he was propelled into law school due to family circumstances, he says, which happened related to personal situations, which I'm guessing might be related to Jill. I don't know. Could be related to the contracts. Who knows? But here's what's happening is the Hollywood gossip talked to somebody that they work with, and they say that Jim Bob is in the defense mode at this point because he has been hearing, obviously, that Derick is going to write a book. And when Derick writes the book, according to the source that formerly worked for the Duggars, that Jim Bob is done. He is done. So, meaning that this book could basically end Jim Bob. Like, all the secrets that Derick has, everything that he could expose, could effectively sort of put a crack in all of the things that we know about him, which is crazy because if you think about it, it's like most people that follow this family already know that there's some shady stuff going on, specifically because of everything that happened with Josh and then all of the weird interviews and Q&As they do about controlling their kids. I mean, even this week they talked about how they monitor their adult children's social media and phones, which, oh my God, they're adult children. Anyways, this source told the Hollywood gossip that Jim Bob already has 4 or 5 lawyers that are looking into contracts from TLC Go. And they're also going to be looking into how they can get around or how they can sort of disprove what Derick is saying. The biggest claim that Derick has made is that Jim Bob has basically stolen millions of dollars from his children and keeping all of that money that he earned. Now, typically in most states, if children are working, there are trust funds that are supposed to be set up, but not all states require trust funds set up for kids that work. And in the state of Arkansas, there's nothing that would be in law that says that Jim Bob has to put a certain percentage of money away for his kids that are working. So therefore, any contracts that are made are done through Jim Bob, and then he's supposed to dole them out in a percentage, but effectively he wasn't doing that. So they say the unethical business practice that he routinely engages in most often is that he doesn't pay them money. So Jim Bob is supposed to distribute it to them, but then he doesn't. So the source says, needless to say, Jim Bob keeps all the money and doles it out as he sees fit. One reason he does this is it's for maintaining control over the children well into their adulthood. Creepy. He distributes the TLC's earnings as gifts or allowances and then expects his children to thank him for what they've been told is a benevolent gesture. Can you imagine that? Like, oh, you worked And instead of like actually like, being paid for your work, which you guys have been on your TV for your whole life, like, I'm going to give you this gift and then I'm going to call it a gift and then you have to tell me thank you, whatever. So one thing that the source said is he thinks by giving them a house for $10, like he did for Jessa or for Joanna, or a house for $20, he's doing his share when he only paid $8,000 or $9,000 for the property. Theoretically, these kids made more than $8,000 or $9,000, way more than $8,000 or $9,000 for the property. And one of the properties, I think it was owned by his mother. So one of the homes was previously owned by Mary, and she was the one that gifted it, I think, to Jessa. Weird. Anyways, he is able to do this, gift these things, then line his pockets. And the source said, Jim Bob is a mental contractor. That's what I call him, a mental contractor. He builds these kids the way he wants them to be. And then what happens is when they get away from him, they see how things really are, and it's hard for them to live in the family again. So I wonder if this is what happened with Jill, and maybe even Ginger now that she's left and lives in California. Joanna is still pretty close to her family, and Jessa obviously has done nothing to leave. She was even on Q&A for the IBLP, so theoretically she's still very much ingrained with the family at this point. But those that have left can't live within the family anymore. Duh. I mean, obviously Jill's like over it. But the reason why he's made it so hard for them is that he has put so much control on them. And this specific quote actually is in line with things that I've heard from other people connected to the family. And it says, Jim Bob has instilled and browbeaten and berated these kids and built them the way he wants them to be. And then when he gets a taste of things that aren't his way, but when they get a taste of things that aren't his way, but are still right, he just can't handle it. So he's essentially created a cult. And by doing so, this is what the family member says, is that it's cult-ish, because the kids are told, what to wear, what to eat. Like, they are told what to watch, what they can't watch, what they can do on the internet. I mean, as even completed by and admitted by Michelle this week, we monitor our adult children's internet, and they want it. That's what they say. They want this. I highly doubt that, Michelle. I highly doubt that. They just don't know any better. They don't know any better because their parents have controlled every aspect of their lives. And so if he is going to prepare for a showdown in a way, it seems odd. Like, I don't know what he could actually sue. I don't know if he's going to try to sue Derick for writing a book, but if Derick puts this out and these are Derick's opinions, and if Derick can substantiate the claims that he makes through evidence in the book that he writes, but even if it's a memoir, that's Derick's point of view, and he can say whatever he wants as long as it's from his point of view and his opinion. He's entitled to have an opinion. So if Jim Bob, and this is the thing that I have learned about him through sources that I've talked to, is that anytime there's a threat of any sort of information getting out that would be potentially unflattering to the family, he likes to use legal threats, and he likes to threaten lawsuits, and he likes to try to use his money to keep people silent. And that's what people close to the family have told me, allegedly. That's their allegation. But this is sort of in line with him, like what this person is saying. Like, he's going to try to sue Derick if he does this. But the thing is that if Derick writes this really could theoretically expose this. But it begs the question, should Derick write this, or should Derick wait for the federal cases to actually keep going? You know what I mean? Because they're currently under investigation. Well, at least Josh Duggar is under investigation by the Department of Homeland Security and the ICE investigators. But then there are a lot of rumblings, including Suzanne from No Longer Quivering, who writes on Patheos. She wrote a couple months ago that a source connected to her, or a source that she spoke to at the IRS, said that the Duggars are currently under investigation for tax fraud. So, which shouldn't surprise anyone, really, if you think of the way that this is all stacked up, and then the way that they probably write everything off. But that is obviously, Fed cases take forever to move forward. You never really know like how long it's going to take. And people are begging for something to happen, and I can't tell you what's going to happen. I just know that the investigation is still very much ongoing. People have confirmed this and spoken to people at investigators basically saying, yes, this investigation is still happening. So Jim Bob is going to get lawyers. He is going to try to sue Derick and looking at contracts. And he thinks that Derick has nothing to stand on because, you know, he's controlled everything. But at the same time, he's given gifts to the kids and doled out allowances as he sees fit. And this is why a lot of people think Jessa is actually doing a lot of stuff like I love my mom and I love my dad videos on YouTube, as well as doing the Q&A, because Jessa needs a new house. So she and Ben have a 2-bedroom, 1,000 square foot home with two bedrooms and 3 kids. So the boys share one room, and then it's also Ben's office. Ivy doesn't have a room and is staying with her in a pack and play, according to Jessa's videos on YouTube, on the floor. And so a lot of people are saying like Jessa's doing all of these videos because Jessa needs to further expand and wants a new house. Now, people I've talked to close to the family have also told me that Jessa is very much still like, she'll do whatever her parents say, or she will do or say whatever she needs and sort of stay status quo, because she and Ben, they like to like not have to have full-time jobs, let's just say, and they very much like being a part of sort of the family business. And so I think both of them have figured out that if they do things and play the way Daddy wants them to play, they'll get what they need. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's not only doing this to do damage control for her dad, but also like, hey, Dad, I need a new house. Can you give me another $10 house? Because her other house was gifted to her via a deed for $10, but it wasn't actually gifted to her. It was from her grandmother because it was Mary's old home. So Derick might get sued if he writes a memoir. What do you think about that? I don't think it'll stop him, because I think Derick's in law school because of it. That's just my opinion. I think he went to law school because he knew that he was going to have to go to battle with Jim at some point. I think that if Derick waited for the federal case to be done, it would be a lot more, like he could make a hell of a lot more money to write something after a federal case if there's arrests of any of them, or if they're found to have tax evasion, or if there's financial crimes here going on, or if something bigger happens. But I'm not surprised that Jim Bob's not saying anything publicly, because I know that behind the scenes he's probably doing his best to try to silence people with legal threats. But we'll have to wait and see. So tell me what your thoughts are, guys. Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? I'll be back later with more. Bye.